never been scared before when I went in to have a baby. When I went in this time, I just told him, I said, something's just not right. I just don't feel right. And I was kind of scared.
It really started out about a month early. They knew she had a condition called placenta previa, which basically the placenta is below the baby instead of on top of the baby. And they knew that from the very beginning. They knew they didn't want her doing any type of bleeding of any type. And about 8 months along, she started spotting one day. The bleeding stopped, but she started having contractions, and then they started getting closer and stronger. So they decided that evening to go ahead and do a C-section. And of course, I'd already arrived before they decided to do that. We're thinking, 20-25 minute surgery, and everything's just going to be okay. And the doctor started in there, and when he got down to that part, he realized that those blood vessels, instead of just being attached to the uterus like they're supposed to be, they were actually embedded into everything. They grew into her insides, and so he immediately stopped. He called for another surgeon, waited on him to show up, ordered up a bunch of extra blood. Of course, they had to cut through everything to get the baby out, and basically there was no way to shut the blood flow off. Everything was just a running faucet. And they had about 5 or 6 different nurses standing around her, holding pressure on her insides, trying to stop the blood flow. And it was just, even by what he considered an extra amount of blood, that was just, it wasn't even a start.
I heard some of the doctors' things they were saying. Some of it was how fast I was going, and she's not going to make it, and different things.
I think that one of the nurses in the ICU unit told her, when they took her out of ICU up to a private room, she was in ICU 7 days, and the nurse told her, said, there's no way you should have been out of here in less than 3 to 4 weeks with what you went through. Like I said, she just made a super fast recovery. Even the doctors were talking about it. They couldn't believe how fast she had came along.
When I got home, it was real emotional. Being home after, not thinking you're ever going to come back. Going in thinking everything's going to be okay. For one thing, when we came home, he took me to see the baby. And that was the hardest thing I'd ever done, was leaving. Because she had to stay in the children's. It was the hardest thing I had ever done, was walking off and leaving one of my babies up there. When I look at her, it makes me realize that even though what I went through, I'm lucky to be here, and we have a connection there. It makes you really wake up and realize that life's precious. One day it can be gone just in a blink.